Hey everybody, Magik Monster here, back with Marvel Heroes. And while Doctor Strange is sitting there, I actually have the team-ups on the chopping block today. And really up for discussion will be whether or not you should bother getting them or not. If you get the extra splinters, highly recommended. If you have the extra cash. For cash, somewhat recommended. Really just going to be up to you. So let me get into the team-ups first. If you bring up your hero roster, you'll see this extra little slot over here. It says Team Up Heroes. So you click them, and you'll have the 4 available if you have all 4, or the 1 or the 2 that you bought. Whatever you happen to do, if you bought them through splinters or cash, they'll be here. And you have 2 buttons on the bottom, View and Set Active. Currently I have Firestar as my active. She's down here showing that she's active. There's a little icon right here next to your ultimate and your medkits showing who's active. Now she's not out. I can summon her, but we'll have to go into a few more details here, and I'm going to start with her. If you click View, it'll bring up a nice little character sheet on her. It'll tell you her health. And she has all kinds of little stats, health regen, defense, all kinds of stuff, offensive stats, utility stats, including rare item find. That carries over to you. Special item find credits, all that carries over to you. Everything else does not. The utility is utility, so it comes over to you. If you look, you got the picture of her, and there's 4 different slots of gear. I actually haven't even found one yet, and I've been farming for a little while. So the gear is kind of rare at the moment. It's supposed to be double the chance of finding them. I think somebody made a mistake on one of the decimal points. But you know, I was lucky with after several hours of farming to find 2 pieces. They gave you one for free. Actually, 3 pieces, I'm sorry. One of them's a double up of the same type. So, you have 3 basic choices with the character. As you can see, there's 4 different power sets. With each power set, there's basically 3 different choices. This is where your choices come into play here. Primarily what you're going to decide is whether or not you want the hero to be out permanently. However, mind you, it has health, so it can die. It also has limited summon sickness, I guess you could say. Basically, every 3 minutes you can summon it. So if it dies before 3 minutes, or you die before 3 minutes, you have to wait for that summon time to come back up, or the cooldown to go away. So it's a little tricky on that situation. So it does say infinite. It is not infinite. If it was actually infinite and there was not health associated to this pet, I would say they would be well worth the money, and they would actually be really, really cool. However, the permanent pets at level 60 get annihilated at anything you want to do at level 60. So for us level 60s, the permanent pet aspect is a novelty. It's not going to do anything. Firestar, Falcon, Magik, and Spider-Man all can probably kill a cosmic trash white mob on their own without dying. With, lousy gear. Falcon and Firestar probably being a little bit easier, and Magik being next, and then Spider-Man. But Magik has a couple little superpowers that make it kind of easier for her to do it too. So not counting that superpower where she summons 50,000 little mobs to go do it for her. So basic attacks, Falcon's going to win over Firestar, and then Magik. Firestar kind of does melee attacks and medium ranged attacks. Falcon will stay medium to ranged, and Magik will go face in. And Spider-Man will do melee and. 'em, and, uh, 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 and, I'm kind of breaking away because there's so much to go over, although it really doesn't apply. So if you go with infinite, you're not doing cosmic bosses with these guys. They're dead. Power cosmics are going to chew them up alive. You can do a 30-second duration where they do double the damage. They don't do spectacular damage as it is, but they can do double damage, and they might equal one of your powers. Right now, like this ticks for 7,800 twice a second. Yeah, they hit about that. So if they're doing double the damage, they're equaling this power. Because, you know, he hits like 7,000. She hits about 7,000. She hits about 6,000. Sometimes they'll get 9,000 on a crit. They can crit. And then they regenerate 5% of their maximum health per second, which is nothing. Second problem with this fact, or this style of play, is you're going to want to use this on your cosmic boss, thinking, hey, you know what, I'll just kill the trash myself because it's just trash, it's not a problem, and then I'll have a 30-second buff to deal with the cosmic boss. Again, that's a mistake. 5% of their health at 60,000 is 3,000 health a second. The cosmic aura burns them down in about, I don't know, 2 seconds. They're dead. They're just hit by it. They stand in it. They die. Especially Magik and Firestar, because they are short range melee. Spider-Man, forget about it. Firestar might move a little bit to go to medium range and then still get eaten alive. And Falcon has a shot at staying at long range, but he'll stay in one spot, and if the cosmic aura finds him, it eats him up alive anyways. So that goes with what's going to happen at level 60. Probably is going to become this part, which is just a permanent buff. It's basically a little bit less than an Uru. You're going to get some damage rating and a special little effect and a couple other little effects on it. And actually, it's basically an Uru. It's a secondary Uru. This is probably what you're going to use in raids, because these guys obviously aren't going to do any damage in raids because they're just going to die. That's going to be my guess. Raids are going to be a little bit too intense. Leveling, you'll probably go with the Infinite Hero. They'll be a great buddy to go up and level with. Probably take the damage because, you know, leveling lower level stuff, that's nothing. If you're going to do Midtown, that's nothing. Maybe the boss pack might kill them every 3 minutes they summon. Well, you can pull them back up every 3 minutes, so who cares if the boss pack kills them? You'll get them back up. It'd be great to have an Infinite Hero. So you can switch back and forth. That's about the best bet of it. This 30-second buff really needs serious address. It should probably regenerate 50% of its maximum health every second if they're going to even have health. If they got rid of the health, it would be a serious level 60 buff. This is why I'm thinking it's not so much worth the cash, because you're paying, what, $8 for 240 damage rating, 3% spirit reduction, 10% rare item find, special item find credits, extra credits, and then a 5% chance every 30 seconds to do basically 100,000 damage, and then a 10% chance on hit every 30 seconds to do 100,000 damage. It's an Uru. It's a secondary Uru that you had to buy. That's what we got for our team-ups at level 60 so far, unless they address it, because these guys will not do anything cosmic. I mean, I could go ahead and prove it to you, but 60,000 health, I mean, I take 2 ticks of a power cosmic. If I sit in there for a second, I'm dead. And I got much better defenses going on. These guys obviously don't. They're just dead. Take my word for it. I don't feel like doing a cosmic just to prove it. So if someone wants to say I'm wrong, they can say I'm wrong. If you're going to say I'm wrong because you're level 20 and you're doing X defenses, well, that's because you're level 20. Level 60 is a whole different bargain. Leveling, it's going to be a great addition. That's what I like about it. I don't really regret it. It is a nice little buff to level with. It's a nice little pet. It's a nice little buff to do X defenses and to get gear with, you know, extra 10% of everything, some damage rating, and some little procs to go off, and a little novelty to go on. I wish I knew exactly what it was before I bought it. I thought I was going to have more of a follower like from Diablo 3. It's not. It will stay with you for the most part through maybe the 125 mobs of bounty on a cosmic terminal. If it's a big pack, they're going to die. And I'm saying this with Doctor Strange when I'm putting out my taunting images of Icon. They taunt and get everything to attack them. And even Falcon still dies when he stays at range. So, as a pet, they do not work. Also, as a pet, they do not benefit from the Blessed Advanced Wondergore Clay. They do not get any of the extra duration. They don't have a duration, and they do not get any of the extra health. So it's not like they're going to be sitting at 80,000 health, 90,000 health. That'd be an interesting ploy to use with, say, a pet class. However, it will not work. They will not get any of the pet damage bonuses from synergies, any of that. None of it works. So that's basically what the team-ups are. So instead of showing them in combat, because it's just not actually feasible, I would have to do 4 separate videos because there's such a long cooldown in the 3 minutes. Even in this danger room, you can't, the training room, you can't bypass the cooldown or anything and just to play with them. It's kind of ridiculous there too. But I can tell you that if you go with this buff, like I said, you get an AoE attack, so you can take Firestar and get some AoE damage. Kind of synergizes very well with Doctor Strange. You get 240 damage rating on no matter what hero you pick. However, Firestar gives you 3% spirit cost reduction, so if you're doing a spirit burner, this could help you out a little bit. These effects here, these 2 procs, only work if she's not out. So these are kind of your choices that you take while she's not out. Say if you take her as a pet, you're going to have 2 choices to go with. You can either have her take 10% of your incoming damage, highly not suggested, she can't take the damage. Or while in play, as long as she's in play, defeating an enemy will reduce the cooldown of the team-up hero by 1 second. That's highly suggested to go with because she will die, especially if you're doing anything high level. If you're not doing anything high level, you can divide it out, but then why would you divide out your health anyways? Because you can take the damage much better anyways, at least until you get some serious gear. So far that I know of, blue is the highest quality rating you can get with gear for her or anyone else right now. So that's the tier 2 power. The tier 3 power starts to be DPS choices. Your 2 choices basically are to do either a damage shield with Firestar, and she'll put a damage reduction shield on you. So melee classes may very well like this, which will reduce damage 25% and deal energy damage to anyone attacking you for 6 seconds. Every 20 seconds she can do that, as long as she stays alive, obviously. And then Radiance Corona, that's just an AoE that does 2,500 damage over 12,000 damage over 5 seconds. And then we have a tier 4 power, which is going to be another AoE, but it's on a 60-second cooldown. I can't tell how long that's going to last. However, that's substantial damage, and that's kind of fun to see to go off. And Mega Flare is a nice big damage. It's probably going to be comparable with the Rain of Fire, and the Mega Flare will do, like I said, good damage, but it's a very long cooldown. Moving over to Falcon, we're going to have the same tier 1 choices. You either choose to make them an infinite hero, a 30-second buff, or a permanent buff, basically. And you can still pull him out for 30 seconds, but he's not going to do much. Tier 2 does the same thing. You can either have him take 10% of your damage, you can have him have the cooldown be reduced by 1 second, or you can get the buff of 10% rare item find, special item find, and credit find, as long as he's not in play. So that all works the same way. These third set of items only work if he's not in play. On his abilities, you can either make him do a fly up and crash down, knockdown strike, which does pretty good damage and does a knockdown. Has an 8-second cooldown, so it repeats itself quite well. And then he also has a suppression fire, which basically does a lot of damage, actually. And it does damage twice a second with a short cooldown of 6 seconds and keeps them at range. And it's an area attack. I really like that. Falcon, he doesn't look the greatest, but he actually probably performs the best because he can stay at range at the moment. And his tier 4 abilities, again, he has 60-second cooldowns, but if you check it out, I mean, these things last 15 seconds. This is C4 rounds. It does 50% extra damage to bosses and elites, and physical damage is basically 4 hits per second for 15 seconds. That's a lot of hits. And then he also has a shock and awe attack, which does 28,000 damage twice a second for a few seconds. C4 rounds definitely wins out on that choice. I like that. If you're going to do any kind of hero that can take damage and you need some extra damage, definitely Falcon. I like it actually with Strange, just because he can survive. Also, his buff is 120 crit rating, so if you have a low crit rating and you need some extra damage, that extra crit rating is nice. Magik, her special ability is going to be 52 health per enemy hit. That is not going to work on ticks or anything like that. You actually have to hit the enemy. So it's not as good as it sounds. If it does work on ticks, it has an internal cooldown because it definitely doesn't go off per tick. I can guarantee that. It does have a plus 10% for summoned allies, so pet classes may very well like Magik for that bonus as well. And then, of course, the standard 240 damage rating. All these are the same. I highly suggest, again, the 1-second cooldown. On her tier 3, if you take her as the raid buff, you basically have a 5% chance every 30 seconds to do 100,000 damage with a 2-second stun. And then you also have a 2.5% chance, basically once every 30 seconds you're going to do this, to summon 3 demons that will hit for basically 4,000 damage and last 10 seconds. They're actually pretty nice to have out. She has an ability which will hit for about 15,000 damage and heal for 1,400 health. Now, mind you, this is all against level 60 stuff, so 63s, it's not as hard. And then she also has a little teleport strike that hits multiple targets for an average of about 9,000 damage and does 7 bounces every 5 seconds. 1,400 health just isn't a lot of health. I kind of go with the bounce myself. This is a toss-up. She can either A, summon one very big demon that taunts and does some pretty decent damage, lasts 15 seconds with 1,000 health and 1,000 defense rating of yours. Or she can summon 8 little demons with 500% of your health and 500% of your defense. They don't taunt, and they do about 1,500 damage. So the damage stays the same, but that's a lot more health going out there and a lot more targets. Most people do prefer this Denizen of the other place, but the big demon is kind of cool to see come down. So you might want to just turn it on just to check it out to see it. Spider-Man, he's probably the weakest. He'll give you some dodge, a pretty good amount of dodge. He used to give you damage rating, but they changed him over to dodge on release. And it gives you a pretty good amount of damage on dodge. So if you have a high dodge character and you're always dodging, maybe not a bad guy to go with. Not going to be my favorite choice. Same with the tier 2 passives. I'd go with the 1-second cooldown if you're going to have them out. Otherwise, if you have them as the buff, you get the 5% chance. You're basically once every 30 seconds going to be able to hit for around 65,000 damage and slow the attack speed and movement speed for 5 seconds by 20%. And then once every 30 seconds again, you're going to hit for about 75,000 damage with a 3-second stun. Not too bad, a little bit of CC going on there. Probably good for a melee person, especially if you have a high dodge. If you have a mount, you have your choice between a kind of mediocre hit, about 7,500 damage with a 3-second stun on 8-second cooldown, or a 5-second taunt, and enemies are weakened, deal 10% less damage for 5 seconds. He basically dies instantly when he does that. Not recommended. This is all level 60, of course. Amazing Spider, 60-second cooldown, basically 120,000 damage. He gets 10 hits. And then Spider Smash, 3-second immobilization. It only does about 40,000 damage on 60-second cooldown, but it's a big AoE. And that's the guys. That's them. So I'm going to end this video here. I might throw a video out there of a couple of them in action. I just wish they weren't on 3-minute cooldowns to make it more viable, so I can go out there and, you know, go do a Dr. Octopus and throw one out there, and go do an octopus and throw another one out there, but it'd end up being a 45-minute video. So let me end this here, and then I hope it helps. I hope you guys enjoyed, and give me a moment and I'll do a video where you can see what they do. Talk to everyone later.